Right, hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I've run out of energy. Today we've got a red SL. Today we've got a 107 SL. It's a 300. Come in because it won't start. So we thought we'd show you how we're going to sort that out. We don't know yet, but we'll take you on the journey with us. And it's having a service. 107s are really popular car, pretty famous in the 80s and 90s, and they're all in the films and all that business. So we still do quite a few for current customers. I'm not really taking on any new customers for these. I don't know if you could hear that, but the first thing I am checking for is that the fuel pump is priming when I turn the ignition on, so I'll do it again. So that means we've got fuel. Well, it don't mean we've got fuel, but it means our pump's working.
Smells rich.
Right. Let's get the bonnet open.
Try that wrong.
Mercedes is famous for their bonnets going all the way up in service mode, which is great for mechanics. Apart from 107 SLs, that's it. That's your limit. So they don't suit me at all, being tall. Right. Fan belt is absolutely... Let's concentrate on why it's not starting. It's having a service after, so gonna check for spark first before we do anything. 6-cylinder straight 6. I used to work on these day in, day out when I was your age, Nathan.
Would have been 9.
Jesus, that's right.
Oh my. Oh.
Ooh. So spark plugs look okay. They absolutely stink of fuel, so someone's obviously been trying their very hardest to start this car. Good sign that we've got fuel. Crank the engine over, see if we've got a spark. No spark. Just got to do another test to make sure. Yeah, that's why these bonnets are annoying. So that is a little spark probe. So you put that on top of your plug, put your lead on top of that, and you'll see it flashing. Okay. I don't know if you could see on the camera then, but we was getting a spark intermittently. That's it. Need to work our way backwards now, really. Plug, lead, dizzy. Got a bad comment last time for saying dizzy cap. Distributor cap. Right, let's have a look inside here. So I guess I had new Bosch leads on it. They're quite new leads, new Bosch silicone leads, which is good. Now when you take these out, you've got to be really careful because the centre, see it there? Yeah. It's dead easy to catch on there and snap off. And I know that because I did it when I was an apprentice, putting on the new one. Careful. Can I have a torch so I can... That's rubbish, that torch, I don't want that one. Now we're talking. Right, so we've got the distributor cap off, the dizzy. As you can see inside the distributor cap, quite a bit of condensation in there. I think for a diagnosis purpose, we'll clean this up, see if it starts, which isn't a fix, it's just to confirm if that's our fault or not. Getting all the carbon off the contact points on the dizzy cap, to see if we can at least get the car running. And this, the center point here, you've got to make sure that that spring is working. when you're removing or fitting the distributor cap, it's so easy to catch that and snap it off. I have done it when I was about 16 or something, and I never forgot it. Looks like it's been tracking out there. So I've just cleaned the cap out, and it looks like there's a tiny hairline crack down here. But we've given it a clean up, so we'll see if that gets it running. Like I say, it's not a fix, it's just a good diagnosis before we go ahead replacing anything. A lot of the problem with these kind of weekend hobbyist cars is they don't get used enough, and they don't like it. They like to be used, especially when it's old school like this. Back in my day, I used to do plugs and points at the side of the road. Bet you did, mate. For these old Mercs ignition parts, you want Baru, even modern Mercs actually, Baru or Bosch. Bremmy, no go. Right, cap's back on, giving it a good clean. See if she starts, because I am sick of pushing this car around. What do you reckon?
No.
No?
No. Boss job, innit?
Thanks. Oh.
Bit of throttle on it.
No. No. It's got a good battery on it.
Yeah.
Let's check spark there, and then I'll see if I'm getting a spark from the coil. Yeah. Yeah, off. Right, so as you could see then, we're getting a really good spark from the coil lead. So coil to distributor cap's good. So I'm still banking on this cap, even though cleaning it and that didn't do anything. So can you see what I've done there? So obviously you're learning as well.
Yeah.
So I've got no spark. I've also checked the spark plug in there. Then I've moved on to lead. So I've gone to the distributor cap, cleaned it all up, still no spark.
And you've gone to the...
So then we've gone further to the coil, but from the coil to there, we're sparking. So distributor cap, rotor arm. I'm going to do a set of plugs as well. It's having a service anyway. So good while you're in there. The plugs looked all okay, but we don't know how old they are. So for the sake of a few quid, it's not really worth not. Right, okay, that's as far as I can go on that without parts. I don't want to drain the oil until I can get it running, but we could do the health check. So we're just having a good inspection of the car because it's having a service as well. Obviously it's not running, so we'll change the oil and filter once it's up and running, but it doesn't stop us from wasting time, so we've got to get the health check done. I've had a good look over the car. It's actually in pretty good condition, this. All the sills are good. We always check all the jacking points on these old things. Up inside the wheel arches. This is quite a nice example. It's had some work spent on it. It's had some new gearbox lines and stuff like that. What we have found is the fan belt is badly cracked. That definitely needs replacing. The brake fluid looks like oil, it's that black. So that needs flushing out. We're going to recommend a power steering fluid and filter change. The fluid should be, it's actually gearbox fluid, nice cherry red colour, that's gone black. A few small recommendations really. Yeah, so overall we're really happy with the condition of this. We'll see what it wants to do about the starting. We're going to do plugs, distributor cap, rotor arm, and there's a dust cover which goes behind the rotor arm. That's a good one to replace. It's got a seal on it. Make sure you're not getting any condensation in there best you can. It's had new leads on it, so it'd be nice to know it's just had a fresh ignition set then really. See if we get approval on it, and then we will catch up once we've got a yes or a no, and we've got parts, because sometimes they say no. Right, back on the SL. We've had approval on the repair. I've taken the fan cowling out and the fan out for two reasons. One, it's having a fan belt. It's way more easier to access. And two, that'll give me more room to do the dizzy cap. Distributor cap. Takes me back to my apprenticeship years. This is basically, spent my apprenticeship on these engines. It's nice to work on different stuff. So this bonnet's a nuisance, isn't it? I've got the cap off and I was just explaining to Nathan that I've marked up each lead, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now that's not because that's what cylinder the lead's coming off. That's just for my reference, working left to right. The number of the cylinder is actually on this plastic part, but you'd have to go, oh, number 4, figure out which lead number 4 is. So I just go 1 to 6, 1 to 3, 4, 5, 6, fit it on the new one, rub them markings off, job done. And you can take the cover off. That's it. Give that a good clean out. Right, I've changed the belt whilst I've got the dizzy cap off. Saves a ton more space. You can see how bad that belt is. So, while we're doing the dizzy distributor cap, we're going to change the distributor cover, which is that piece that goes there. The reason being is it has a seal on it which seals to the cap. You can't buy the seal anymore, you can only buy the full thing, and these covers themselves, covers, cap, whatever you want to call it, can also get hairline cracks in them to stop you getting as good a spark as required. I've even read that they can't physically be seen by eye, it's only under a microscope, so while you're in there, change it, why not? At least you know you're getting a nice new seal to try and avoid any moisture getting in there. That's a big problem with these old cars because they're sat around not getting used enough. Moisture's getting in the cap and causing you misfires and stuff. Oh, look at the colour difference. New rotor arm. New one's the black one, made by Bosch. Yeah, you can see where it's all been going corroded and stuff on the back. Now we're going to prep the new cap up with some grease force spark plug adapters from Mercedes. Again, it's a good way of keeping moisture out. Should you have to take it off in the future for whatever reason, it'll come off a lot easier. Dab on each one. It's called dielectrical grease.
Right.
They've changed the colour of it, Mercedes, you know, it used to be green. Yeah. Distributor cap, rotor arm, other cap thing at the back, whatever you want to call that. All done, fitted, fan belts on. I've got spark plugs left to do. Right, we've got the old plugs out. They absolutely stink of fuel, as you can see. They don't look great at all. Got the new plugs, genuine Baru plugs from Merckx. I've already checked all the gap on them all. Just got to check them again on camera so nobody says you didn't gap the plugs. Gap is 0.8, talking them in 20 Newton meters. Feel pressure here.
Feel pressure.
Because I thought it was going to start when I cleaned it up. We've been pushing this thing in and out of the garage for days, so I can't wait till it starts because I'm sick of pushing it. Just done that whole job with the ignition on. We've still got the oil change left to do on it as well. I didn't want to do the oil when we couldn't get it running. I'd rather get it running so we can get the engine nice and warm, drain the oil, do a proper oil change.
A few moments later.
What the hell? I touched the throttle and it stalled.
That's got fuel on it.
Yeah. I've had enough today and it's only Monday. Well, I wish I didn't touch the throttle now. Anyway, might go home. Nope. Nope. Ah, something I miss here. It started up straight away a minute ago. Instantly. Right, following on from where we left off, we've got into a bit of bother. So, fitted the distributor cap, started up, no problem at all. And then we left the car running for about half an hour, just on idle, and the car cut out. It cut out when I was actually going to go out in the car. So, I'm glad it cut out then and not when I was out. Anyway, when it cuts out, when it's hot and it won't restart, I've got no spark again. Let it cool down, I'll get a spark back. Anyway, I found a few bad earths going from the engine to the body, and it also attaches to the coil. I cleaned up those and I even replaced one of them because it didn't look good at all. Again, started up fine. Half an hour later, cuts out again. We've tested the coil, all good. Tested the amplifier, which is down in the wing, all good. So now we're on to the crankshaft sensor, which runs from the amplifier all the way down to the back of the engine. So the car's hot now and it's not running. So I'm testing the crank sensor, getting no resistance there at all. It should be 0.8. So I've got a used one just for demonstration purposes. So we'll test this one. As you can see, we're getting 0.83. My plan is now is to fit this. I'm not going to fit it properly. It runs right underneath the engine to the back. My plan is to just fit it and lay it around the engine and leave it running for a good at least half an hour to make sure that's the problem. But as it stands now, my testing is saying that that crank sensor's faulty. Bit of a predicament now, because when the car came in, the original complaint of the customer was the car was starting, but when it started it ran rough, and then as the car warmed up it ran fine, and he's been putting up with it like that for ages, and then eventually it stopped starting completely. As you could see when we were testing, we had a really good spark going up to the distributor cap and a really weak one coming out. So we changed that and it started first time, perfect. Whereas he said when it was running, it ran terrible from cold. It's now running good from cold. But now we're cutting out when it's hot. I thought this was a really good customer of ours, this, and he has been a couple of times, but this car's actually not been to me for years and years and years. We can now start the car up in the morning and get it in and out of the garage. We just can't drive it anywhere. So let's get the test sensor in place, leave it running for an hour, make sure it's good. If that's the case, we then got to have a bit of a tricky conversation with the customer, really, because we've told him what he needs. It now starts, it now runs, but we've got another problem. And this is typical of classic cars. It never goes this smooth. I never have too many of these in at once, as in classic stuff, because there's always a problem. And then there's a nice 124 behind us, which is also giving me problems. Not the news we wanted, but it's progress.
3 days later.
Right. It's took me about 3-4 hours to get the old crank sensor out. It was seized solid in the hole, couldn't get it out. I had to smash it to pieces to get it out, so cannot reuse it, obviously. That's what's left of it. The lead is still routed in the engine. The test one I've got is the wrong one for the car, so it doesn't fit in the hole. The right sensor for the car is no longer available, and that's not only Mercedes, that is, I've exhausted all brands. However, I've found a sensor off a 103 engine, which is the same engine as ours. The part number is 1 digit different, so it is different, it's longer, but I'm hoping it'll enable us to start the car. So it's going from bad to worse. Can't get the sensor out, finally got it out, smashed it to pieces. My test one won't fit for testing purposes. The correct sensor that I need now anyway, because that one's now knackered. Well, it was knackered before, but you can't get. So now I'm improvising with one off the same engine, but for a different body. I can't really see what the difference is going to be. Just going to test this new one. So we've now got a nice reading, 0.84. I've measured the gap in the hole against the new sensor in case it's a distance thing, and it seems to be right. So I'm hoping that this will work, even though officially it's not the right sensor. But what am I supposed to do when I can't get the right sensor? I have found one, an unbranded one, and it's like 250 quid. And it's not even a Bosch one or Febi or anything, it's just unbranded. So, let's try this. The correct part number should be 002 153 9128. This is a 9028. So if this actually works, this could save a lot of people a lot of money. It might not start at all, you know. So it's like if you actually needed this, well, we need a sensor for this car. You can't get one anymore. What do? You've got to do what I've done, and think outside the box. So this new lead is a lot longer than the old one, but my theory is, I think it's for a 124 with the same engine. Surely it's got to be the same sensor. The only difference I found was, my sensor came with a seal on it, which went, I'll show you on this one, it basically went around there. It wouldn't fit in the hole with that seal on, so I have had to take it out. That's the only modification I've had to do, really. We need to leave it running for a good half an hour, and make sure it don't cut out again. See if it revs. Yeah, so before it was cutting out, once we let it get hot and we started revving it, it started backfiring, and then it cut out. And then it wouldn't restart until it cooled back down again. Dead chuffy, that.
Well, we've got to wait an hour now anyway.
Well, yeah, but I just know that's what's wrong with it, because I was getting no resistance down that old lead at all when it was hot. So we left it running for over an hour, no problems at all. So now we can get back on with the service. We've sucked out the fluid out of the power steering reservoir, replace the filter, fill it up with new, it's actually gearbox fluid, and then we can do the brake fluid and obviously change the oil and filter as well. So I've just got the oil filter off, and it's got a Wix filter on it, so that's a clear indication that this car's not serviced by us. We always use genuine oil filter, which is a pure flux in this case, but look at the size difference in them two. I always got told you get better oil pressure with the genuine oil filters, particularly on this engine, so that's what we do. So I'm just routing the crankshaft sensor in the same routing that it came out, and it's a bit tricky, but we want it to look neat and tidy, so I'm just fishing it in, and then I'll show you where it goes to.
So here I am taking the old sensor out. It was quite tricky and a bit fiddly, to be honest. Then we started routing the new sensor in, and then all of a sudden we realised we have a bit of a problem. I thought the sensor I've got was longer than the old one, so we'd have plenty of room. However, I was completely wrong, and it's actually shorter than the new one. So I did have to change the routing of the new sensor slightly. Didn't really make much of a difference. We still got the job done, but my research was wrong. It's shorter than the original one, not longer.
Right, we're on our road test. We're just going to do a few laps of the block to build up our trust in this car, because obviously it let us down when we first got it running. We've done the service, gearbox service, power steering, filter, brake fluid. You could see how dirty the old fluid was. That hasn't been done for years, so we flushed all that out. I've took Nathan with me on the road test in case it broke down. I've got somebody to help me push it. I've not driven one of these for ages. Well, I'll say I've not driven one of these for ages. It's probably about 2 months. Anyway, so far so good on the road test. So the road test is nearly completed. No issues whatsoever. Brakes feel good. Obviously they didn't feel that good before on that old brake fluid. So let us know what you think of this one. Obviously we've had to do a bit of trickery to get this one sorted. A bit of thinking outside the box with the parts. You know, this is what it's like sometimes on the older, more classic stuff. Not everything's available at all times. We're saying that. It's not on the modern stuff either. So I think that concludes this video. Make sure you give us a like, a thumbs up, subscribe, and everything everyone else tells you to do, because it must do something good for the channel. And we'll see you on the next one.